that's one thing I'm noticing. My knees are hurting a lot less. I still have a ways to go, but I'm noticing like these small improvements, and I'll take an inch, right? I'll take anything at this point because one thing about when when you're dealing with this recurring agitation, right, and you're constantly inflaming these nerves, and you try to train through it anyway, that puts a toll on your brain, and it kills your morale. Like to the point where some days I used to just not even want to train because I just don't want to feel my knees hurting anymore. And that's another thing you got to think about. Like the I don't know if it's like a mental health thing, but that's a real thing where like if you know it's gonna hurt if like to go through this exercise, and even if you think it's gonna help you later, your body just doesn't want to feel it, right? And you don't put a ton of energy into it. You're a little safer at the end of the training session. You almost feel like you got worse, right? And it creates like that vicious cycle that you're talking about. And on this up squat, it's like the first time I've really been able to train, even on the isokinetic. I remember when I got on your isokinetic accelerator, I was like, this is it. Like, this is gonna feel amazing. I remember thinking like this is gonna feel much better on my knees than the super cat. And as soon as I went through the motion, I was like, ow, that hurt. I'm like, damn it. I was like, oh, it's still there, right? And even with some adjustment of my pelvis, it felt better, but I was like, God, it's still there. And I remember thinking in my head, like, okay, now what? And then you immediately got me from that machine and you got me to the up squat. And you knew what you were doing.
I was setting you up, yeah.
Yeah, you were making me take the strong angle red pill. Right?
Yeah.
You're like bringing me through like Morpheus. You just like already knew where this was going. And then like I went on the up squat machine, I did a couple reps and I immediately felt my knees and I'm like shit, it doesn't hurt anymore, right? Or did it nearly hurt as bad? It was like super super tolerable, right? Still there, you can still tell there's not something right, but it wasn't like shocking my system, right? It was an immediate protective like painful signal. And another thing is my knees didn't feel hot after a couple of those sets. Usually my knees will always feel hot to the touch after I just did some sort of leg strengthening exercise, right? And this one, like the patellar still felt cold, right? That's a really good response. And as I'm doing more of this up squat exercise, right, I'm actually starting to feel my glutes working, right? Even though I'm not feeling, it's kind of a weird response. Maybe you explain this. I only feel my glutes working after the exercise is over, right? After I do all my sets and I walk away from the machine. Usually I'll take a walk around my neighborhood, just kind of like reset the hips, and also want to get my kinesthetic awareness, like feel what's happening. But as I'm walking, I'll feel like weird sections of my core kind of pumped up. I'll feel like weird sections of like my glutes, right? And it almost feel like kind of tingly in a way.